we have called internally a PLD. PLD stands for Personal Locating Device, which is an implantable GPS for which our company owns a patent and can be implanted surgically in the clavicle area of a child or someone that you are interested in tracking. It is the first implantable microchip for humans that has multiple security, financial, and healthcare applications.
2003년엔 멕시코 법무장관과 법무부 일부 직원들은 이 전자칩을 몸에 이식했다. 보안 지역을 통과하기 위해서다. 물론 아직 흔한 일은 아니다. 그러나 라이오니를 시술한 의사는 이미 100여 개를 이식했다고 한다.
처음엔 저도 걱정이 많았죠. 건강한 젊은이들에게 칩을 이식해야 하니까요. 하지만 이게 미래 아닐까요?
각 소형 칩에는 고유 번호가 있다. 스캐너가 흐른 순간 데이터베이스에 접속, 이름뿐 아니라 더 많은 것을 알게 된다. 기술적으로 이 데이터베이스가 저장 가능한 정보의 양에는 한계가 없다.
이 바늘로 전자칩을 이식할 겁니다.
칩의 크기는 쌀 한 톨보다 약간 큰 정도. 라이오니가 칩을 제거하는 수술을 받지 않는 한 이 칩은 영원히 그의 몸 안에 남아있게 된다. 이 수술은 마취를 해야 한다. 피부에서 몇 밀리 안쪽에 칩을 이식한다. 근육에 지나치게 가까운 곳에 이식하면 근육이 손상을 입어 움직일 때마다 칩이 있는 걸 느끼게 된다. 그러나 제대로 되면 전혀 느끼지 못한다.
자, 조금만. 잠시 누르고 있다가 떼세요.
시술 시간은 불과 몇 초.
It's not going to be hard to get people to take it. They're going to think it's a good thing. God's word says don't take it. Revelation chapter 16. In my efforts to try to stop the microchip from being to stop it from being manufactured, I knew that research had not been done on the effects of lithium in the body. So I called a doctor at the Boston Medical Center who had been on the project. I said, what would happen if the microchip gets shattered or broken and the lithium is in the body? He said you would get a sore. He said you would get a sore like a boil. I said, what kind of sore like a boil? And I was writing all the time. He said you'd get a grievous sore. It would not heal. I was looking at Revelation 16:2 a short time after that. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. This is a single sore. Will God cause the microchip to be shattered in all those people that receive it? I don't know. I just think it's very unusual that there would be a sore that would be one sore, not many sores. And so the message I give you tonight, and the message that we share, is that this is real. Stand in God's word and don't take it.
혹시 베리칩이라는 말씀을 들어보셨습니까? 지난해부터 미주 한인교회를 중심으로 퍼지고 있는 베리칩 논란인데요. 이 베리칩이 요한계시록에 나오는 666으로 이 칩을 받으면 구원을 받지 못한다는 근거 없는 소문이 확산되고 있습니다.
베리칩이 666이란 소문은 미주 한인교회를 중심으로 퍼졌습니다. 소문의 내용은 오바마 행정부가 환자의 병력을 추적하기 위해 환자의 몸에 붙이거나 삽입할 수 있는 장치를 언급했는데 이것이 바로 베리칩이라는 겁니다. 이 칩을 받아야만 물건을 사고 팔 수 있고 은행 업무까지 보게 돼 실제로 우리의 일상생활을 지배하게 될 것이라고까지 확대됐습니다. 이 같은 소문은 인터넷과 유튜브 등을 통해 한국 교회에 유입되면서 베리칩을 만드는 회사가 한국에 있다는 등의 근거 없는 소문들도 퍼지고 있습니다. 하지만 이런 소문은 사실과 거리가 먼 얘기입니다. 실제로 오바마 행정부의 의료보험 정책 개혁안에는 베리칩이라는 단어도 없을 뿐더러 피부 속에 삽입한다는 강제 규정도 없습니다. 사실 666 논란은 역사적으로 계속되어 왔습니다. 은행 지로용지부터 시작해 컴퓨터, 바코드가 666이라는 얘기도 줄곧 있어 왔습니다. 하지만 신학자들은 이런 소문에 현혹되지 말아야 한다고 조언합니다.
바코드가 666이라고 한참 또 그랬었어요. 그러다가 최근에 이제 그 베리칩 논란이 있는 거기 때문에 제가 볼 때는 조금만 우리가 과거를 한번 생각해 보면 666 논쟁이라는 것이 얼마나 허무한가 하는 것을.
근거 없는 우려가 커지자 미주 한인 목회자들이 중심이 된 미주 한인 예수교 장로회는 지난해 총회에서 베리칩이 666이 아니라는 입장을 발표하기도 했습니다. 구원이란 예수를 구세주로 믿음으로 주어지는 것이기 때문에 베리칩을 받으면 구원을 놓친다는 주장은 극단주의적 종말론자들의 비상식적인 발상이라는 겁니다.
그리스도에 대한 믿음 이외에 그 건전한 교회에서 신앙생활을 하면서 그리스도의 오심을 기다리는 것 외에 다른 것들은 다 불필요한 것이 아닌가 생각을 합니다.
베리칩 논란은 성경을 제대로 알지 못하는 데서 오는 왜곡된 신앙이 우리 삶을 불안으로 인도한다는 사실을 깨닫게 합니다.
Really a new world order can be created. The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
Even greater than at the time of the Industrial Revolution, a new world order was created.
It's referred to as an international currency, United Future World Currency.
Pope Benedict XVI is calling for a new world financial order. In the third encyclical of his pontificate, Benedict denounced the profit-at-all-cost mentality of the globalized economy.
France intends to pursue, together with all people of goodwill around the world, this battle to build the new world order of the 21st century.
But the burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. A change of leadership in Washington will not lift this burden. In this new century, Americans and Europeans alike will be required to do more, not less. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way.
In 2005, an arrangement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States was made. This arrangement, unannounced to the public, unregulated by Congress, merges the United States, Mexico, and Canada into one entity, erasing all borders. It's called the North American Union, and you might want to ask yourself why you've never heard of this. In fact, there is only one mainstream reporter who has actually heard of and has had the courage to cover this issue.
The Bush administration's open borders policy and its decision to ignore the enforcement of this country's immigration laws is part of a broader agenda. President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it, and he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
It's a deal that few have even heard of.
It's being done again by very few people at the very top on behalf of the investment class, but the working class of people, political officials across our country, from communities, from cities and so forth, they don't know anything about this.
This isn't some trade agreement. It is a total removal of sovereignty from these countries, which will also result in a completely new currency called the Amero.
Fall. Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about, but I think it's going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. The Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community, much like the EU, and the dollar, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso replaced by the Amero.
By default of this agreement, the American Constitution will eventually be obsolete. You would think that a situation like this would be on the cover of every major newspaper. That is until you realize that the people who are behind this movement are the same people behind the mainstream media, and you are not told what you're not supposed to know. The North American Union is the same concept as the European Union, the African Union, and the soon-to-be Asian Union, and the same people are behind all of them. And, when the time is right, the North American Union, the European Union, the African Union, and the Asian Union will be merged together, forming the final stages of a plan these men have been working on for over 60 years. A one-world government. This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said, one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I made a video called Mad as Hell. And he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him and I liked him, and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts. And he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be, but there was going to be an event. And out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela. And sure enough, later 9/11 happened. And
said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for people that they're never going to find. He was laughing about the fact that you have this war on terror. There's no real enemy. He's talking about how by having this war on terror, you can never win it because it's an eternal war. And so you can always keep taking people's liberties away. And I said, how are you going to convince people that this war is real? He said, but the media can convince everybody it's real. I mean, it's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it. You created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11, which is another lie. Through 9/11, then you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie, and now they're going to do Iran. And it's all one thing leading to another, leading to another, leading to another. What are you doing this for? What's the point of this thing? You have all the money in the world you ever want. You have all the power. I said, you're hurting people. It's not a good thing. And he would say, what do you care about the people for? Take care of yourself and you take care of your family. And then I said to him, what are the ultimate goals here? He said, the ultimate goal is to get everybody in this world chipped with the RFID chip and have all money be on those chips and everything on those chips. And if anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off their chip.
That's right, microchipped. In 2005, Congress, under the pretense of immigration control and the so-called war on terrorism, passed the Real ID Act, under which it is projected by May 2008, you will be required to carry around a federal identification card, which includes on it a scannable barcode with your personal information. However, this barcode is only an intermediary step before the card is equipped with a Verichip RFID tracking module, which will use radio frequencies to track your every move on the planet. If this sounds foreign to you, please note that the RFID tracking chip is already in all new American passports. And the final step is the implanted chip, which many people have already been manipulated into accepting under different pretenses.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me.
In the end, everybody will be locked into a monitored control grid where every single action you perform is documented. And if you get out of line, they can just turn off your chip, for at that point in time, every single aspect of society will revolve around interactions with the chips. This is the picture that is painted for the future if you open your eyes to see it. a centralized one-world economy where everyone's moves and everyone's transactions are tracked and monitored, all rights removed. The most incredible aspect of all, these totalitarian elements will not be forced upon the people. The people will demand them. For the social manipulation of society through the generation of fear and division has completely detached humans from their sense of power and reality. A process which has been going on for centuries, if not millennia. Religion, patriotism, race, wealth, class, and every other form of arbitrary, separatist identification and thus conceit has served to create a controlled population, utterly malleable in the hands of the few. Divide and conquer is the motto, and as long as people continue to see themselves as separate from everything else, they lend themselves to being completely enslaved